Okay, so this is video number 2 on the syllabus. Okay, so now we're going to go to the grades. Grades are determined by your total points. 800 is the maximum course total. And I will use letter grades as an informal way of letting you know how you did on assignments. Okay. And then here's the grade chart to show you the points, the grade range at the end of the course. All right, so just take a look at that. Grade points, 100 for each speech and 50 points for each outline. And that's pretty simple. And it's right there on your syllabus. You can take a look at it. Now, let's go to plagiarism. It isn't necessary nor is it acceptable to plagiarize in this class because I'm looking for your opinions as well as information from reliable sources. So you don't need to plagiarize. And those of you who are not sure about plagiarism, I'll give you some examples of what plagiarism is. I had one student, it was the first speech in the class, and he got up in front of the whole class and he started off his speech. And I'm listening to it, and I'm saying, my gosh. And I didn't stop him. I let him finish his speech. And after his speech, I said to him, I said, that speech sounded just like Martin Luther King. And I says, I think you should join the civil rights movement and become as eloquent a speaker as Martin Luther King was. I said, because word for word, it just resonated Martin Luther King all over the place. And he knew that I knew that he had plagiarized the whole damn speech from Martin Luther King. And I told him, I says, I expect all of your speeches to be as eloquent as this one. And of course, they never were after that one speech. But I didn't say you plagiarized on him, for him. All right, now I'm going to give you a woman, because I'll go back and forth, man, woman, because women plagiarize too. And so this woman had given her first speech, and I said to her, I said, that sounds so familiar. I says, have you plagiarized this speech? And she said, no, I have not. These are my own words. And I said, all right, go ahead, finish your speech. And so I graded her. And then the second speech, same thing. I said, this sounds familiar too. I says, have you plagiarized this speech? And she said, no, these are my own words. So I said, okay. And then her third speech came up. And it started like this. It was either a third or fourth, I don't know which, because then we had about 7 or 8 speeches to give. And it started like this. She said, my grandparents who live today in China are extremely poor, and they are Christians. And they decided that they were going to do something special. I'm going to change this a little bit. It's a little bit like that, maybe. It's easier for me to look into the camera then. And they decided they were going to do something special for each other for Christmas. And they had never done it before because they were so poor. And I stopped her right there and I said, and this is about your grandparents who live in China today, right? And she said, yes. And I said, you go right ahead and continue, okay? And she said, so my grandmother had this long, long hair, and she decided that she was going to do something special for her husband for Christmas. And so she decided that she was going to cut off her hair and sell it so that she would have enough money to buy my grandfather a watch fob for his pocket watch. Now look at this, guys, and maybe you women have it too. And I think I have it here. Let me see. So right here on your pants is a little pocket. And you have the pocket here, and you have a little pocket here. Well, that pocket is for a pocket watch. and you put your pocket watch in there, okay? And when you put your pocket watch in there, when you're riding a horse, because back in the days when Levi Strauss started this, making jeans, why he had the pocket watch there, and this was back in the 1890s, I think. And the pocket watch would pop out, and the guy would lose it. And so they decided, well, let's make a fob for that pocket watch. And what it was made out of either leather or metal. And you would attach it to the watch, and then you would attach it to this. You know, your little belt loop right there. And so when the pocket watch, you were riding a horse and the watch popped out, it would be saved by the fob. And we still have them today. I mean, I see guys who have pocket watches and their watch fobs. Either they're metal or they are made out of leather. Okay, so they're still used once in a while today. Zoot suiters back in the 1940s, those of you who were Latinos and Latinas, you probably studied about them. Why, they wore beautiful watch fobs. And once in a while you still see a Latino who gets all zooted up and he wears that watch fob. Okay, so I stopped her. And I said, okay, so this is about your grandparents, blah, blah, blah. And I want to tell you what your grandfather did. Because your grandmother, who lives in China today, cut off her hair so she could buy, have enough money, sold her hair so that she would have enough money to buy that watch fob for your grandfather's pocket watch. Well, your grandfather did this. He sold his pocket watch so that he would have enough money to buy your grandmother a comb for her long, long hair. Am I right? And I said, this is an amazing speech. Do you realize that we had an author 100 years ago by the name of O. Henry, an American author, and he wrote exactly the same story, only he called it The Gift of the Magi. And so you have plagiarized this speech, and I bet you that you plagiarized your other speeches, right? And I'm going to kick you out of this class. And she started crying. And I let her cry for a while because I was enjoying it. And then I told her, all right, now look, you can either redo this speech, because I know you've plagiarized it. I can't tell about the other two, but I assume you have plagiarized those. I can't tell. I've already graded those. Okay, but this one you redo and you never plagiarize again. Ever, ever again. Promise me. She says, I won't. And as far as I know, in all of her speeches in my class, she never plagiarized again. All right, so I'm going to cut this video short, and so that and the reason I'm doing it is because the longer the video, the harder it is to get them online. All right, so I'm going to cut this one off now, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you a little bit more about plagiarism. So by the time by the time you end this on plagiarism, you'll know what plagiarism is, and you won't do it in my class because you don't have to. Okay, so next video is coming up.